So this is an interesting opportunity. So the main part of the water that comes down the driveway, the easement, comes from the neighbor. It doesn't come from us. So this is our part here. And yes, there is some water coming down, but it's less than half, I would think. So whatever we do up there isn't really the big thing. It might be that this water does come from us, but it takes a detour all around there. So that might be, which means if we dam up there, then we might reduce this flow. But then there is a huge catchment area, and maybe if I'm a little bit further ahead, I can show you this again. Let's see. First I need to open my gate. So there you can see it flow on the right side of the road, and apparently it's coming from here and over there. But then there in the distance there's other things. So there is another catchment area, but this goes elsewhere. So it is somehow all this where it flows away. And some of you have been asking, so here is an answer. Nothing is being done to retain this water. So this whole hillside loses the water that falls onto it, goes into this creek, and yeah, you can see where it goes. And this eventually fills our pond or our ponds. So we can capture this, but on our end. So this is the water source. Quite interesting. So for the curious ones, I can show you this. So this is the outflow of the water reservoir after recent rainfall. It's still raining, so you need a boat to cross this. So some vehicles you can cross, but it's a little bit a challenge. They're cheap, not with these tires. With bigger tires, yes. And you see, here's a bridge, which is part of the public road. And that's what I'll be using now. So that is the alternative when we need to get out. And the water that high probably takes a good while, several days with no rain. And the rest of the week is forecasted to be like right now. So all this water flows away. So it appears that with the heavy rainfall, the water found this way. You can see this by the grasses that have been turned over. It's quite interesting. And what you see there is our well. We will see how this will turn out. It's hard to see all these things that we planted. We planted 5 per square meter. They are still quite small, but I think they get enough light, and it looks a bit strange when you look from the side, but when you look from the top, enough light comes through to the ground. It's been a few days and the water level has gone down quite a bit. By now we can cross with our vehicles and we don't need to use the bridge anymore. It appears we have a little beach here. That was the high tide left us was quite interesting. But you can see that the water level has gone down a lot. We had the water all the way to the gate here. And now it is pretty calm. And now it is possible to cross this, given that you have the right vehicle. We are back at the Miyawaki forest and I can show you the other side of it. In the same way as I said last time, I do hope that the plants that we set here will be able to get over all this and that the sun and all this moisture that is now there gives them a boost. So let's hope that they will not lose out. So this is now the real test. This tree finally blew over, so we lost another one. But we have been lucky, it did not destroy the gate that you can see there in the background. And we have also been lucky that this makes new room, so that we can build our nursery there. Before it was a little bit in the way. But you can't remove these trees unless nature takes care of it. So lucky us, we now gained a little bit more room in the farmyard. Now on to something interesting. As you can see, I wanted to leave, but I made a wrong choice. And now a whole ordeal begins. Watch and enjoy. And here, suddenly, I got stopped in my tracks. But thankfully we have heavy equipment, and this is now the attempt to pull the Jeep out of the miserable situation. But we will soon see that this is easier said than done. It seemed quite straightforward and easy, but soon the rescuer will need rescue himself. Here you can see a detail of the problem we are dealing with. As you can see, the Jeep is stuck pretty deep in this great soil that we now have thanks to the rain. It's also very black. It's beautiful from an agricultural perspective, but of course from the perspective of this vehicle and me trying to get out, it's just awful. It's a huge problem. There is no way I can get out of this on my own with these tires. And now that I managed to get the backhoe stuck as well, I decided to start digging myself out. This is going to take some time. I also tried to push the backhoe over using the boom so that maybe I can push myself out of there. Sometimes that works. Backhoes are extremely flexible. Everything takes longer than with specialized machine, but you can do everything. So this will end well, but of course it's a major task, and not. It has some challenges. It's not really easy, and it can be also dangerous. As a little bit of digging and pushing doesn't get me anywhere, I now decided to really excavate. My thought is that I can make myself some room and then push the backhoe over so that I can push myself out. It's not pretty. It's the least thing that I would like to do in this situation because I'm making a huge mess, but I need to get out of there. And you can see the mess that I ended having. So this is how it looks like. This is a complete disaster. So at this point, as it doesn't go anywhere, I decided to change direction. And I started to dig out the other way so that eventually I can drag myself out using the boom, and that usually works with a backhoe. And you will see I'm going to be successful. And as this now broke, I think we can call it quits for the night. We need to get a steel cable. And we actually did, the next day. And then we were able to drag out the Jeep at ease, no problem, no harm done. And the soil will be pushed back into place, and then the grass will grow over it.